Unfortunately, Arsenal win yet again. I think that's their best winning streak of 8 or 9 wins in a row now. It's ridiculous how good they have been post international break, how good some of their players have been. And I think today's game was a massive test for Arsenal because they were so dominant in the first half, and a mistake right at the end made it 1-1. And the way they sort of came out in the second half, they were good, but Brentford were defending so incredibly well that I thought this might be one of those games where they're going to drop points. This is one of those games where the Arsenal pre-January would drop points, where the Arsenal at the end of last season would drop points. But they proved since January, we're a new Arsenal, we're a title-winning Arsenal, we're this unstoppable Arsenal. And that's what they were today. They were absolutely relentless. They got that goal to win it. And getting those goals in the dying moments, Kai Havertz coming up like that, the fight until the end, it feels like this Arsenal team is not going to lose. It feels like they're continuously going to win. And while Declan Rice is ridiculous, and I was begging for Manchester United to sign him this summer, and he's just a new level of good. And I really don't like that he plays for Arsenal. He's a new level of good. While Kai Havertz is really showing his quality, there was one guy that I want to talk about before I get into anyone else, and that is Ben White, because not just today's game, but I think in general, he's been really, really good for Arsenal. And I think, and I'm saying this as a Manchester United fan, but I do think he's becoming one of the most underrated players in football right now. As you can see, his game numbers up on the screen, 2 assists was brilliant. But I've noticed since January, he's really stepped up for Arsenal. I think this is the best I've ever seen Ben White at Arsenal. I think he was a good player for them, but lately he's been so key. I mean, every single game, this guy turns up. He gives 100%. He's got the athleticism. He covers the ground. He works incredibly hard. But he's also got that technical security, and he's so intelligent. There's so many things he can do. But what I've noticed about Ben White is I think he makes Saka better. I think he makes Odegaard better. As you saw on the screen, 3 chances created, 2 assists today. But he's athletically good. He's very physical. He's good at set pieces. He can cover a lot of ground. He's defensively very good. He brings that defensive security that maybe sometimes Zinchenko lacks on sort of the left-hand side of the defence, or Kivior lacks on the left side of the defence. He's very defensively secure, and he can allow sort of Odegaard to push further up, and he can overlap with Saka and make Saka better. But he's so technically good, and that's what surprised me about Ben White, is it feels like there's nothing he can't do. He's versatile. He can play the back 3. He can play right back. He can play right back that overlaps. He can play right back and inverts. I've been really surprised with Ben White this season, particularly this little run of 8-9 games, just actually how much he offers and how good he is as well. I think he was superb with the crossing, but I think he's very good at just putting in a ball, making the team play better. And I think that actually he's looked really dangerous on the overlap. I feel like he's unlocked that right-hand side, overlapping with Saka. He gets Saka moving quickly. I think because he can invert in midfield now, alongside Jorginho, you see Declan Rice and Odegaard being able to push further up and make a difference. And Odegaard, he has that final ball in him that's just absolute quality. He can break the lines. Declan Rice has got good ball striking, good ball carrying, which I think then puts more and more pressure to pin Brentford back. And eventually Arsenal did break them down, but it looked like one of those games where, are they going to break them down? And maybe they missed Martinelli a little bit today in his blistering pace and stuff. But Arsenal were really, really good today. Arsenal were really dominant throughout the whole game. And obviously Havertz had his moment. But going back to Ben White, he makes very good off the ball runs. I think he makes Saka and Odegaard better. I put that his defensive security is brilliant, but I do think technically his passing, his movement, his ability to invert, his ability to play out wide, he can be a traditional fullback. He can be a fullback that inverts. I think he makes the team better. And I wanted to just give Ben White this plaudits, because I think everyone will be talking about Saka. Everyone talks about Saka. Everyone talks about Rice. I think people will be talking about Havertz, but I think he's been absolutely key. Now, to sort of show you how dominant Arsenal were today, although Brentford defended really well, made it difficult for Arsenal, but they were pretty dominant. If you look at the XG, Arsenal had 1.55 XG to 0.7. They had 2.34 XG expected threat to 0.95. They were pretty dominant. You can look at statistics here. You can see that obviously Bukayo Saka sort of had the most increased or decreased chance of scoring, You can see here ball carrying, Saka again right at the top. Progression via carrying is insane. But as you can see on the screen, Declan Rice there with Jorginho. Declan Rice's ball carrying ability to progress the ball via long passes is brilliant. And the fact that so many Arsenal players rank so high for progression statistics shows how technically good that this Arsenal squad is, and they were very, very dominant today. So we're going to dive into Kai Havertz, and then we're going to dive into Declan Rice, who is just a ridiculously good player as well. I will show you a few more statistics here, just for you guys that like statistics here. You can see sort of turnover statistics here. You can see again sort of the zone passes. You can see again sort of increased chance of scoring as a receiver. You can see all of these sort of statistics that kind of give you a bit of insight. But we've got to talk about Kai Havertz. I think he's got 4 goals in his last 4 games. He's a player that when Arsenal signed him, I wasn't sure. I said, when Arsenal signed Kai Havertz, I said, it's a good player there. And I think if someone's going to get the best out of him, it's Arteta. But I didn't think he was what Arsenal needed. I thought they needed either a left centre mid or a number 9. But with Kai Havertz, they've got a very incredibly versatile player that can play in midfield, that can play number 9. But he offers something that not many players do. He's one of those guys that confuses you because he's tall, he can win it in the air. Because he can win it in the air, defenders have to mark him, so he can drag a large centre-back out of the box and open space for other players, but he's unpredictable. Arteta said at the beginning of the season and pre-season when he was interviewed for Arsenal that he wants Arsenal to become unpredictable. People sort of work out Arsenal a little bit in the season, early in the season and sort of towards the end of last season. He said he wants them to become unpredictable. Now, when you play a low block against Arsenal, today they did Brentford did defend really well, but in the last few games, Arsenal scored like 30 goals in the last 7 games, and people have been playing low block against Arsenal, but they've become unpredictable because of the rotations off the ball, because of the movement off the ball. And Havertz's versatility, play in midfield, play centre forward, he can even play out wide, and the off the ball movement he brings is so good because the next thing you know, Havertz is somewhere nowhere to be seen, and then within a second he's in the box on the end of it. He's a defender's nightmare. He causes so many issues off the ball that I don't think got noticed. And I think when Havertz first joined Arsenal, he was getting in goal-scoring opportunities. He was having goal-scoring opportunities. He wasn't quite finishing them, but you could see, Havertz is getting there. He's causing a problem. And while in possession, he has his limitations. I think because Arsenal have such a technically secure squad of players that are very good in possession and very comfortable in possession, even though Kai Havertz isn't really known for being, a possession-based player and doesn't get the ball as much as other midfielders, and that's why I think he's probably better as a number 9 for Arsenal. Because Arsenal have so many technically secure players and so many players that are good in possession, they can afford to have someone like Kai Havertz in the team that's more of an out-of-possession monster that makes those runs difficult to mark because he just needs a moment. And sometimes you can be the best team in the world at keeping the ball, playing the ball, passing the ball. I think Manchester City and Arsenal, in terms of passing the ball and all-round play, possession-based, technical security, the 2 best teams. I think Liverpool are more transition-based and Liverpool are better at moments. But I think in terms of, possession, Arsenal, Manchester City are the 2 best teams. But sometimes Arsenal just didn't have that player that would have that moment. You see, Man United, not that we're good at all, but we've won games this season will be crap because Bruno Fernandes has that moment. Marcus Rashford has that moment. Liverpool have won games because they've got that moment in there. And Arsenal and City often dominate games and City can get that moment. But I think Arsenal with Kai Havertz, he's one of those players that can give you that moment that wins you games, that moment that gets you the 3 points. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's the way I describe Kai Havertz. And I thought he was very good today. 86% pass accuracy, 26 passes completed, but 4 shots, 2 aerial duels, 1 goal. But he's been getting the goal contributions like mad this season. He's actually reached his best goal scoring season that he managed under Chelsea. And you can see that Kai Havertz is one of those players that's getting better every game. He got the confidence in him. He's being coached by Arteta, but every single game Kai Havertz plays, he's getting better and better and better. He's looking more like the Leverkusen Havertz. He's evolving into a player, and that is because of Mikel Arteta's coaching. You have to give Mikel Arteta credit for the way that he's coaching this guy, evolving this guy. He's been patient with this guy. People are saying Havertz is, getting this favoritism, but Arteta had a plan for Havertz. He was very patient with Havertz, and I think all round Havertz adds a lot more. And there was this ridiculous narrative at the beginning of the season that, Kai Havertz didn't add this and didn't add that, and if Arsenal didn't win the title, it's Kai Havertz that's made them worse. And it's like, no, there's been times where Arsenal have had issues with the lack of strike and the lack of left centre mid profile, but Arteta's found a way, adapted that. Kai Havertz got key goals versus Luton. He's got a key goal today. We know what he's like in big games in the Champions League final. Arsenal are going to need a big game player, a guy that can come up in moments, and Kai Havertz provides that. There'll be some game states where maybe he doesn't suit, but in general, he provides that. But there's one player at Arsenal that is, for me, truly world-class, truly unplayable, a player that I begged Manchester United to sign, and that is Declan Rice. He is becoming that Rodri-esque clutch. In his last 5 Premier League games, he got a goal and 2 assists versus West Ham. He got an assist versus Newcastle, a goal versus Sheffield United, a goal versus Brentford. That's 6 goals and 6 assists in the Premier League, considering he's mostly been playing as sort of a number 6. As Jorginho's come in, he's a number 8. But again, I want to give Mikel Arteta massive credit for Declan Rice. There's a reason that Pep Guardiola actually wanted Declan Rice and wanted him to be a Gundogan replacement, even though he had Rodri. It's because Declan Rice is such a complete midfielder that he can play as a 6, he can play as an 8. For me, he's a manager's dream. I think he's signing of the season. I think McAllister, value for money, might be signing of the season, but I think in terms of what he's added, how good he's been, he could be signing of the season. I don't think he's had a bad game for Arsenal. I think he gets goals, he gets assists, he's good defensively, he's good attacking. There's nothing that Declan Rice can't do. I think he's truly world-class. I wanted Man United to sign him. I know he's world-class, and he was fantastic at West Ham, but Arteta is taking Declan Rice to another level. He's not had a bad game. He's been at Arsenal less than a year. He looks like their captain. He looks like their leader. Mentally, he's good. Maturity is good. He's got the personality. He's got everything you see in a leader. He's a proper professional. He works hard. He covers ground. He's got the athletic qualities. He can cover ground. He can win the ball. He can press. But he's technically good. He's very good. He can be a 6. He can be an 8. You can play Declan Rice anywhere and he can do a job. He almost scored a phenomenal goal. His ball striking is fantastic. His ball carrying is fantastic. There's a reason that Pep wanted him to replace Gundogan. You know, he's getting that Rodri level now. He was always as good as Rodri off the ball, but, you know, Rodri was known for being clutch and good on the ball. Declan Rice is becoming this mirror of Rodri, scoring these clutch goals like Rodri does. He's brilliant. You could play him as a second striker, and I think he'd be great. Like he's been crazy. He's a special footballer, and it does make me jealous as a Manchester United fan because I was desperate for us to go out there and sign Declan Rice, but we know he's an interception monster. He reads the game well. He covers ground well. He was so good as a 6. Jorginho's coming. He's almost gone in this sort of left centre mid role, and I thought that made Martinelli better. And as he's pushed up, you can see his ability to move the ball, play it quick. He gives the ball a good tempo, but he can break lines. He can progress the ball via dribbling. He can put in a great pass, great crossing from set pieces. He can score goals. His ability in possession is really, really good. We knew how good he was out of possession because of his time at West Ham. But Mikel Arteta's seen something and he said, no, Declan Rice has got the capabilities in possession. He's got the technical capabilities in possession. We've got Ben White that can convert with Jorginho, that can push Rice further up. And actually, Rice has the ability to break lines. Rice has the ability to sort of help break down a low block. He can pass well. We can move the ball quickly. He's a good player. And you've got to give Arteta credit for that. So while I don't want Arsenal to win, I mean, I'd rather Arsenal win the league than Liverpool, I guess, as a Manchester United fan. You have to give them credit. I actually thought, bar the mistake, Ramsdale did have a good game. I thought Saliba and Gabriel were solid as always. I don't think that there was really anyone that had a bad performance for Arsenal today. I do think that Martinelli is better than Trossard and just gives them that more energy. I thought Odegaard was great as usual. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Bye.